Hello everyone, welcome back to the Hindu Explainer series. I am Kushagra Goel. And yesterday we had a lot of doubts about different things because we considered a different variety of topics, right? So some clarifications first of all. One with regarding the legislature in union territories, all right? So as per the acts that exist today, 3 union territories can have legislatures, that is Delhi, Puducherry and Jammu and Kashmir. So while it may not be existing today, but there is provision for a legislature in the union territory of Jammu and Kashmir. There is no provision for a legislature in the union territory of Ladakh, alright. So only 3 union territories have that provision. Make a clarification there. Secondly, someone had a doubt about, is the economic survey binding on the government? No, the economic survey or the policies within the economic survey are not binding, in the sense that, for example, the economic survey talked about more growth and less for, in general, how that would reduce poverty. However, at the same time, we do have certain social schemes that are existing as of today also, right? So we are not completely focused on growth only, right? So that is a policy or an incentive provided in the economic survey does not mean that all the policies of the government need to be bound by what is provided in the economic survey. Then moving on, about debt to GDP ratio, how does the decrease in interest rate lead to an increase in GDP according to this? Now, there is no direct correlation that if interest rates are going down, GDP may increase. However, there is a direct correlation if interest rate, that is the rate at which you borrow credit, is cheaper, then people are investing more. People will take credit to provide it for businesses, and there will be growth buoyancy in the economy. When there is growth, the GDP may grow, alright. So there is a indirect correlation between cheaper interest rate and higher growth rate of the GDP, alright. Then moving on, another clarification which was about what has been named as the Narendra Modi Stadium. The cricket stadium that was called as Motera Stadium or the Sardar Patel Stadium has been renamed as Narendra Modi Stadium, and the place where the Narendra Modi Stadium is located, that entire region will now be called as Sardar Patel Sports Enclave. So within the Sardar Patel Sports Enclave, the cricket stadium, which is the largest in the world, has been renamed after current Prime Minister, that is Narendra Modi, alright. Then moving on, regarding the doubts about flow test, current status quo, and brief explanation about what happened there, alright. In the Puducherry's case, how can there be a fall of the government in between, right? So we will be discussing that through an editorial today, how that unfolded. There is a headline about what has happened in Puducherry also. So I hope through that explanation these doubts will be clarified, alright. Then another doubt was about the Lieutenant Governor and the power and their advice on chief ministers, alright. So in the in-depth analysis, I had written CM and the COMs, that is the Council of Ministers appointed by the governor or the Prime Minister and his Council of Ministers, alright. So the 2018 judgment between the Delhi state and the Lieutenant Governor there was that the Lieutenant Governor is bound by the democratic government's advice, alright. However, that was limited to certain parts in the Delhi Assembly Act, alright. So, and even within that, the discretion of such a thing is still there, that if you want to let the Lieutenant Governor decides that something should be decided by the President, that discretionary power wasn't taken away in that. The Governor may not act directly against what the CM and the Council of Ministers have advised. However, if they refer the matter to the President for decision making, then it is a different decision, alright, and that is not governed by the Supreme Court judgment of 2018 between Delhi Assembly and Lieutenant Governor of Delhi, alright. On that note, I will begin with the newspaper today and certain doubts that people had. I hope they will get clarified when we discuss the topics that are there today, alright. On that note, there is positive news on the side of India and Pakistan. For first time in some years, there has been some amount of normalcy. That is, both the countries have agreed to abide by the 2003 ceasefire agreement. That is, active hostility or shelling will not take place on the border between India and Pakistan. Does that mean that relations have normalized? No. Will the agreement binding? Have countries violated the agreement in the past? Definitely yes. So how much hope can we have of real peace from this? Limited hope, right? But is it a positive news? Definitely, because then some amount of peace conversation or dispute resolution can take place between the two countries. All right, so this is a wait and watch scenario for us. The more important news, for which details will come out over time, is that we had been discussing that the government was planning to regulate OTT platforms and social media related to the incident that took place between Twitter and government. So yesterday the government announced rules under which it will be regulating these platforms, right? So we'll have to study the rules and see what is relevant. However, all of this is part of reasonable exercise of freedom of speech and expression, that you have no absolute right to speech, and under that this has been regulated. So there is a provision to restrict it under constitution, that is reasonable restrictions. Whether these kinds of restrictions are valid or not, that is a constitutional question. We'll have to understand these notifications in depth. Only when there is a constitutional controversy about them, then it becomes a point for discussion for all of us. Till now, all we need to know is that these platforms can be regulated by the government through these particular mechanism. All right. Then, related to economic offenders, Nirav Modi, a businessman related to diamonds, the London court has agreed to extradite Nirav Modi, that there is a prima facie case against him in India and therefore he should face trial in India for that. Now the Secretary of State of the UK government has to finalize how and when he will be extradited. The extradition of Vijay Mallya has also been permitted, however he has not yet been extradited. So there is limited hope. However, under economic offenders, there is a case against him for bank fraud vis-a-vis Punjab National Bank. All right. Then the government has filed an affidavit wherein it has stated that same-sex marriages cannot be permitted in India. All right. So now this is the stand that the government has taken. However, what the court decides is something that we will be more concerned with. In the 2018 judgment by the Supreme Court, Section 377, that was same-sex, was declared unlawful. All right, that there was an offence in the IPC which was declared unlawful, that because it violated certain rights of people, such offence was not permitted in India. All right, now the petition was filed by certain people that now that there is no offence, marriage rights and protection related to that should also be granted to same-sex couples. However, that has not yet taken place. The government has stated that no, this is against the Indian ethos. Now we'll have to wait for the judgment of the court. All right. Then moving on, more details about the affidavit. The crux of it is registration of same-sex persons also results in violation of existing personal as well as codified law provisions, is what the government has stated, and that India only provides for marriage between a biological man and a biological woman to be partners as in marriage, is what the stand of the government is. All right. Then moving on the editorial front. All right, the editorial front, most of it is political or not relevant for us. All right, so on the left hand side, vaccine inequities, who will be vaccinated, what platform, all of this not relevant, nothing of real note for us. How the government should undertake vaccination, speedy, address vaccine hesitancy, all of that policy narrative not relevant for us. Secondly, judicial blow. This is talking about the controversy in Nepal. We have already discussed it. Then the editorial is how this is a political blow to KP Sharma Oli and his political maneuvers where he wanted to grab power by alienating his party members. Alright, so that the judiciary has struck down. Then single party dominance democracy imperiled. MK Narayanan's analysis of different politics in different states and how democracy is the victim of certain politics that are taking place in different states. That is a political analysis of the situation in the country, not relevant for us. What is more relevant for us is the absurdity of the anti-defection law. This is a criticism of the anti-defection law, but does it suggest the problems that are now existing between stable governments? The editorial says that no. Alright, now what is this talking about? This is talking about the 52nd Amendment Act in 1985, the 10th schedule of the Constitution, that if a person who is elected by one party and votes for the another, then there is a defection that takes place and those people will be barred and will have to give up their position in the house. Alright, so the editorial tells us how this has reduced the overall nature of representative democracy, how this has affected accountability of members on a personal level and also undermined legislatures in general, because now legislatures are not about policies but generally party fiefdoms, that member of parliament are basically pawns of political parties. They have no mind of their own and they can easily escape accountability by stating that it was a party decision. At the same time, there is existing loopholes that by virtue of stability, that was the purpose to bring in anti-defection laws, has also not been sufficed, because there are members who now resign and then get elected on the other party, which also results in democratically elected governments falling. What is what exactly that happened in Puducherry, right? That there were certain members of a political party who resigned, that brought the majority of the house. The government that was in majority became minority, and because you cannot have a minority government, you had to resign. All right, and the confirmation that you had become a minority government was through a floor test that was ordered. All right, as per our constitution, you have to have a majority in the legislature to form a government. All right, then there is question answers about should governments regulate online platforms. This is about how news organizations will have to receive payments from social media organizations for their news content. Then the second one, inhibiting free speech. Court shouldn't preempt assembly inquiries based on limits of legislative competence. This is talking about the dispute that is ongoing in the Supreme Court vis-a-vis the case of Delhi Assembly versus Facebook India, that the parliamentary privilege of an assembly does not extend to different companies, is what the court are deciding. This editorial talks about how this preempt action of the court should not take place. First, there has to be a legislative action that takes place, and then the court may decide whether that was wrongful or not. It should not preempt whether it is lawful or not, because then it undermines the scope of legislature in general, is what this is about. All right. Then on the other national news, nothing of real note except for two policies. One is ICNIOS. What is ICNIOS? Indian National Center for Ocean Information Services will, along with National Remote Sensing Center, will undertake a high resolution topographic airborne laser terrain mapping of the ocean floor. All right. So this is what becomes important. What is ICNIOS and what are they doing? What is ALTM? This will help understanding what is the ocean floor, the topography of that region and the minerals associated with it, which will help in deep ocean mining. All right. Then moving on, more analysis about how this is better. This binding or being bound by the 2003 ceasefire agreement is a step in the right direction for peace between India and Pakistan in general, is what is being notified. Then on the left hand side, presidency rule notified in Puducherry. All right, that because there is no government in majority, president's rule has been imposed. Today, the Election Commission will announce dates for elections in these states. So anyway, in a week's time, this was going to happen, but now it has happened prematurely. All right. Then moving on, nothing of note. The cases are rising in the country about COVID-19 because people are not taking precautions, and at the same time price rise in general that is happening. That is not of note for us. Then moving on the international front also, what is most important here is a statement that China has made about itself. Xi Jinping yesterday announced that China has attained complete victory in elimination of absolute poverty. Then that determines what is the standard for absolute poverty. Who is considered poor? Alright. So China considers people as poor as those people who do not have a spending power less than $2.3 per day. This is higher than what the standard of the world is or is implemented in India, alright, which is 1.26. Alright. Elimination of poverty is part of UNO's 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. Even today, 37%, almost 22 and 330 million people of India are still in abject or absolute poverty by the poverty line. Alright. So then moving on the economic front also, nothing of real note for us to note down. Alright. Nothing of real note. Here the government is calling for more localization or expansion of the Atmanirbhar Bharat package. And on the sporting front, the day-night test match concluded yesterday. Now India is on the front foot of qualifying for the World Test Championship final if they win or draw the next test match versus England in Ahmedabad. Alright, so this is day-night test match that took place. The test match got concluded in 2 days itself. Alright, so on that note, we will conclude for the day. Once again, a notification for all of you that our new crash course begins on March 1, and if you are looking for guidance to crack CLAT at the shortest possible time, the crash course is your one mode of success or the one key to open the lock, that is for admission at NLUs. On that note, for that, all you have to do is note down or contact us through the information provided in our description box or visit our website, that is lawpreptutorialonline.com. On that note, thank you so much. If you like the work that we are doing, please give this video a thumbs up. Make notes about different controversies, especially about the anti-defection law and the ICNIOS program that is about ocean mapping, deep ocean mapping and topography. And if you are new to the channel, do subscribe to it. Thank you so much.